Okay, so I'm solving chapter 4, page 163, question 61. And the question is asking for the mass of one of the reactants, in this case it's sodium chromate, that is required to precipitate all the silver ions from the other reactant, which is the 75 milliliter of 0.1 molar solution of silver nitrate. So they're saying you have two reactants, both are solutions, so they're aqueous solutions. The first one is sodium chromate, the second one is silver nitrate. So what I did is I completed the writing out the chemical equation and then I balanced it. So they give us the volume of the silver nitrate reactant and the molarity of the silver nitrate reactant. And they want us to determine the mass of the sodium chromate in grams. So we start with 75 milliliters. And what I wanted to do is I can use this formula right here. We know that molarity is moles divided by volume of solution. So we can rearrange it, and if we were to multiply both sides by volume, we'll end up with volume times the molarity will give us the moles. But one thing to pay attention to, we need to be in liters, and they've given us 75.0 milliliters. So what I did is I took 75 milliliters and I multiplied it to change the milliliters to liter. 1 liter, I have 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So I'm using it here as a conversion factor. And now that will put me in liters, and then I can multiply by the 0.100 molar. And remember, we can rewrite the unit of big M, molarity, as moles per liter, because that's its definition. So once I do that, once I carry on the multiplication, I believe we should end up with 0.0075 moles of the silver nitrate. So when they give you the volume and the molarity of this substance, you can easily determine the moles. Once we have the moles, and I'm not going to put it in scientific notation at this point, I just want to carry the numbers over the way they are. So we have 0.0075 moles of silver nitrate. And then to determine the mass, I would need to determine the moles of sodium chromate. So we need to pay attention and remember that we would get that information from the molar ratios. So I have 0.0075 moles silver nitrate, so I can multiply it from the balanced chemical equation. I have 1 mole of sodium chromate per, again as a conversion factor, 2 moles of silver nitrate. And I usually like to continue everything in one line. So to determine the mass, so this will put me in mass in moles of sodium chromate, because remember the moles of silver nitrate here in the numerator will cancel the denominator. So we end up in moles of sodium chromate. To get the mass, I know that in 1 mole of sodium chromate, we have, and if I remember correctly, it should be 161.97, I think 33 grams. So we know from the periodic table, we can calculate the molar mass of sodium chromate, and we should end up with, in 1 mole, we have 161.9733 grams. So if you use your calculator and you say 0.0075 times 1 divided by 2 times 161.9733, you should end up now with the mass in grams of the sodium chromate, and you should end up with 0.607 grams of sodium chromate And this would be the answer to this question.